Joe Rogan just really pissed off MAGA with his opinion on the Jimmy Kimmel stuff. Now, Donald Trump and Brendan Carr, the chairman of the FCC, has maintained that they have nothing to do with ABC taking Jimmy Kimmel off air, and that Jimmy Kimmel was taken off air strictly because of his ratings and pissing off people with his opening monologue. Now, a lot of people have called BS on that. Joe Rogan may just be the most popular voice, the loudest voice, who has called BS on the narrative that Donald Trump or Brendan Carr has nothing to do with this. Joe Rogan would describe the Jimmy Kimmel situation as violently disturbing and as an attack on free speech.
Jimmy Kimmel situation that is happening right now.
Yeah, wild.
Very wild. Okay, first of all, the FCC is, you have to have a license to broadcast, which is kind of crazy when you think about what that means now. First of all, I definitely don't think that the government should be involved ever in dictating what a comedian can or cannot say in a monologue. That's right. Crazy.
It's crazy.
Now, if the problem is the companies, if they're being pressured by the government, so if that's real, and if people on the right are like, yeah, go get them, oh my God, you're crazy.
I still consider Joe Rogan a moderate. Joe Rogan being a redheaded stepchild of the left for possibly a decade kind of veered him in the direction of the right, but I don't feel like Joe Rogan being labeled as like a far right-wing extremist is still accurate. I think it's unfair. I don't think Joe Rogan is far right, nor is he far left anymore because, you know, he was treated like the redheaded stepchild. And because he's a moderate, I think his words kind of have a little bit more weight, or at least it's being treated as that, right? People are online treating it as that because he's super popular and he's a moderate, right? So he don't really have a side. He's just calling it how he sees it. And this is sacrilegious to MAGA because MAGA right now is, they're not going for it. They swearing up, hey, Trump has nothing to do with this, cut it out. Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, all of Donald Trump, and they're being fired because their ratings is bad. It's not because they're calling out Donald Trump. No, because the ratings is bad, cut it out. So Joe saying this to his MAGA audience was not received well at all.
You're crazy for supporting this because this will be used on you. You don't think that the globalist lizard people who run the world are sitting here going, great, what do we got, 3 years? We'll wait this out. We'll wait this out. Yeah. Let them say the government should be involved in censoring people's speech.
That already happened. We've seen an email from Twitter where the Biden administration was asking Twitter to delete Twitter accounts of miscellaneous influencers because they didn't like what they were saying or tweeting, right? Called it misinformation, and they was able to get those accounts deleted under the guise of misinformation. They were able to call people to be shadow banned. Google put out a statement where it says, yo, under pressure from the Biden administration, we were forced to delete YouTube accounts. But they're working on a program to bring those accounts back under Trump. So if the fear is, hey, bruh, when the Dems get in power, they're going to do it to you guys, the Dems have already done it. Now, what I would say, though, is this right here happening now, here's why I don't like it, right? Now, Trump has said he has nothing to do with it, okay? But in the case that Trump did have something to do with this, I don't like this because our principles shouldn't be guided by a side, right? If conservatives were upset that the Biden administration was doing this, then they should be upset at the possibility, if Trump has something to do with this, they should be upset that Trump has something to do with this if it turns out to be true. But the people who are taking the position of, hey, if Trump did have something to do with this, I don't care because Biden did it too, I feel like you're wrong, right? Because your values and your morals shouldn't have a side. I know conservatives are hopeful that there will never be another Democratic president again because the right got the power right now and the left is cooked. But sorry to tell you, man, things don't work like that. There will be another Democratic president. There will be another Democrat who takes office. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to grant the pathway to fascism. You don't want them to be able to attack free speech violently and then use the excuse of, I mean, hey, man, the conservatives were fine when Trump did it, so why can't we do it? Also, we got to call ABC to the carpet. ABC can't get away with being quiet. I'm sick and tired of sources, and having us guessing. If Trump and Brendan Carr attempted to assault free speech in this country, ABC have a duty to come out and put it on record. Yes, They called us. Yes, here's the correspondence. Here's the messages. Here's the emails. They did it. They threatened us to take him off air. If that's what happened, ABC has a duty to put that out. But if that's not what happened, as Trump is saying is not what happened, then we should stop accusing him. But until ABC comes out and put it on the carpet, there's no way we would know, right? Because you can't really trust sources, especially in this climate, bro, where everybody has an agenda and a side.
Yeah. Let them support that. Let these dumb because Jimmy Kimmel's a leftist. Let these dumbasses think it's a good idea, and we should celebrate that.
That's the most toxic I keep seeing online when people are like, yeah, shut him down.
So going back to this Jimmy Kimmel thing, there's a lot going on with this.
Do you know him, by the way, or
yes.
no?
He's a good guy. Jimmy's a good guy. He's a smart guy. He's a funny guy. He was always very funny on when he did that Windy City Heat thing.
I love that. It's such a good movie.
I think he tried to distance himself from that.
Oh, big time.
Like very, very, very successful because it's a 25-year prank.
What's his name? Perry Farrell?
Yeah. No, let's not mention him.
Okay.
Let's because
I
he's
know.
litigious. Let's just have people go find it when he said Heat. But you see that and you go, oh, that's the same guy. Like, yeah. Well, so one thing that does happen to guys as they get older is, they soften their ways and they change who they are and they change how they interface with the world and then if you're in Hollywood, you're also addicted to an ideology, and it depends on what kind of style you have. So if you have a funny, mocking style that is like satirical, that's always making fun of things tongue-in-cheek, like Norm Macdonald, perfect example. Norm Macdonald, even if he's making fun of you, is not going to piss you off to the point where you tweet about him. Because if you do, he kind of won. He kind of got you. You know what I mean? So it's like Kimmel has this sort of go f*** yourself style. Well, because kind of ironically, he celebrated in his monologue when Tucker Carlson got fired. It's kind of a problem. Yeah. And it's also kind of a problem that he, in his monologue, talked about how it was the right thing to fire Roseanne.
Yeah, I remember that.
A little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Not a good look that Jimmy Kimmel celebrated Tucker Carlson being fired, but I do think it's a false equivalency. Tucker Carlson, I don't believe he was fired for free speech. I think Tucker Carlson was fired. Now, maybe I'm doing the thing that like Joe Rogan is accusing MAGA of doing, which is like creating these like pockets for plausible deniability for Trump. But I do believe that Tucker Carlson was fired after the Dominion lawsuit because I think he cost like Fox News like $700 million in like a settlement. And then he was also facing another lawsuit for, I think, a producer, Abby Goldsberg, where she accused Tucker Carlson of sexism and discrimination in the workplace. So if he was fired for those reasons, I think Jimmy Kimmel may have a right to celebrate it because he wasn't fired for an attack on free speech. Now, Roseanne, I think, is another story. Jimmy Kimmel, I think, was kind of wrong for that. I do believe, like, Roseanne was fired and it was an attack on free speech in her regard. So, yeah, Jimmy Kimmel did somewhat contribute to this climate. He did contribute, to like celebrating this, and apparently he didn't care about free speech until it hit him. But that still don't mean you should celebrate Jimmy Kimmel being fired because just like how Jimmy Kimmel looked foolish, you'll look foolish when it's turned on you and it's your turn to get fired for speaking about things that you believe in.
A little bit of a problem. Also a problem that he thought the unvaccinated, he made a joke about the unvaccinated people shouldn't get hospital care if there's people who are vaccinated that need that room. I think the joke was, oh, vaccinated person who's had a heart attack, come right in here, sir. Unvaxxed person who gobbled horse goo, rest in peace, Wheezy. Like, that was the joke. Like, I'm unvaccinated. And I was like, that's kind of a f***ed up joke, but I'm not mad at him.
No, it's a joke.
It's just a joke.
It's a joke.
But it's like, those things weren't a problem. But this one thing where he said it was a low point. What did he say? I want to be real clear. Let's like pull up his actual quote, because what he said was not bad. It wasn't accurate though, but it wasn't bad. He was just trying to set up this joke of Trump, which was good.
It was a great joke.
It was very funny.
But the setup was a little wonky. I do remember listening to it.
It was also like, it's like
this where I kind of disagree with Joe. I think it was really bad. Like, I don't believe Jimmy Kimmel should be fired. I don't think the joke was bad enough to be fired. But I do believe when you say the shooter was a conservative or when you say the shooter was right wing, I do think that's dangerous, right? Because all the facts will say the shooter was not conservative, was not right wing. Now, if you believe he was left wing, then you would have to believe the family of the shooter and the parents, who, by all admission, we know like the father is like a super MAGA, super Trump guy. So if that father is telling you that his son was left wing or blaming his son being radicalized on the left, you do kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. But nonetheless, though, there's no proof right now that the shooter was right wing, and Jimmy Kimmel, I guess, disseminating that in a manner in which he was telling it as if it was truth. I do think that's dangerous. Right? I don't feel like somebody with that much influence should just come on a platform and just lie. Right? Like you do have somewhat of a responsibility, even though you do believe that you are in war with these people. Like you do believe that you have a side and your side is at war with their side. You do have a duty not to lie, right? And Jimmy Kimmel disseminating like the information that the Charlie Kirk killer was this right wing freak and that it was the fault of Donald Trump and that he created this environment, like that's dangerous.
It's the problem with doing it that way on Monday is that by Sunday night, they already knew that this guy, his family had been saying that, again, I don't even know if he really did it. But
Right.
this person who they're talking about,
The plant.
this person who they're talking about, whether or not he did it or didn't do it, well, the FBI is now investigating deeply and further, by the way.
Yeah, we'll find out.
So Kash Patel did say that. Whatever that means.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
it's a weird phrasing when he goes, they're trying to pin it as anybody but them.
Yeah.
Asserting that he was a MAGA
Well, this is the
guy.
thing. In the beginning, people thought he was. So the first reports were that he was a hardcore right-wing guy, that he was a registered Republican, which he may or may not be. Sometimes people go back and forth,
Sure.
you know. And then the other thing was that he was a groiper. So he was a Nick Fuentes fan. That was some other stuff that was going around.
What's Groiper?
We'll get into that in a bit.
Okay.
Hold, please.
Yeah.
Then it came out that, no, his father is a law enforcement guy.
I don't think that's true.
That's not true?
I think that's what that was part of the story, but I think later found out that wasn't
Right.
true also. I don't know.
So
I'll look
What's true?
some family members, by Sunday, the Utah governor was saying that family members were reporting that this young man had been wrapped up in some very hardcore leftist ideology. So this had already been released on Sunday. So on Monday, if Kimmel had just said, you know, it was a tragic thing that Charlie Kirk died, and let's see what the president thinks about it. Goes right to him, and like, what this is the fourth stage of grief.
It's a great joke.
Destruction. It's a great joke. The whole thing was great, but the problem is, we had already known by then. Again, at least the narrative is that this kid is not a
Jimmy did own that though. In his opening monologue, he did say that he was wrong, and just him crying or apologizing to Charlie Kirk's family, you could tell he's not a mean-spirited or a bad dude. Like, Jimmy Kimmel isn't the type of dude that you think like he has malice or ill intent. Maybe, you know, he just has no regard for the right. And, you know, he should be able to have that stance. He should be able to not like Trump and still have his job or still keep it. But until ABC comes out and say, yo, Trump did this or Brendan Carr did this, the chairman of the FCC, then at this point it's all speculation and nobody knows what happened. Right? We can just throw things out and guess. But let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think about this, okay? Do y'all believe that Donald Trump has something to do with this, right? Do you believe that Joe Rogan said anything wrong? I think Joe Rogan's stance was kind of fair and measured. Let me know, okay? And if you're still watching, click on this video here somewhere on my screen to find out how this rapper, 6ix9ine, has officially hit rock bottom. Click on this video right here to find out what I'm talking about. I'm out of here, folks. Peace.